guys, welcome back to the Try Time Podcast YouTube channel. I'm Callum.
And I'm Matt, and today we're going to be talking about Wakefield's relegation to the Championship for next season and why it could be the greatest thing to happen to the club. Now, we've had a good think about this and come up with a number of reasons that why actually this could be really beneficial for the team as a whole. Let us know in the comments whether you've got any more to add, what you think of our points, and especially Wakefield fans, how are you feeling for this season? Now, the first thing we came up with, we're going to start, is the wider stadium redevelopment. Now, it's no secret that the attendances in the Championship are considerably lower than that of Super League, especially when one of the big teams comes to town. Now, Wakefield spent a comedic amount of last season with an entire stand knocked down, or about 5 chairs put in it. Now, let's face it, you probably are going to be a lot more likely to get away with these things and not having to reduce your capacity in the Championship than, say, the relegation 4-point sell-out clash against Castleford, which I'm still very annoyed they lost that.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because there's a lot of... I don't actually think that Wakefield fans will realise the difference between having the away spot from Super League and not. Like, some games you'll play and there'll be a little group of them, but it's just not the same. As well as the fact that, I mean, are as many Wakefield fans going to go watch Wakefield this year because of it? Which I know you could say is a bad thing, but I think they've definitely going to have the ability to have a stand shut off for a considerable amount of time and it not affect their attendances. I think the attendance will be the same. They're not going to sell many out. Don't get me wrong, when your Bradfords go, when your Fevs go, it'll be a busy old game.
We won't talk about Keighley.
Definitely. I mean, they wouldn't have taken many anyway, would they? Let's be honest.
What, you mean they've got the loudest fan base, but they don't actually back it up with the feet?
Well, honestly, they're terrible. But
I guess that kind of segues as nicely on, actually, doesn't it, in terms of talking about the reduced crowds and the fans not maybe noticing as big a drop-off as a result of this. I think with the takeover and everything as well, it allows them to be closer to the club.
Yeah,
We're
definitely
seeing a lot of personnel movement, both in the coaching staff and in the on-field. I mean, we're recording this about 15 minutes after it has just been announced they've signed Ian Thornley, for example, which I guess squad building will be another point we come on to very shortly. But, you know, we're seeing a lot of noise from the club about making sure the fans, at home at least, are still coming into the ground. It's obviously a key part for the IMG numbers, which, again, this is all happening on the same day. They came out earlier today. And Wakefield currently sit in 11th, I believe.
Yeah, nice.
Now,
they're safely in there, aren't they?
Now, if we think what could happen over the season, well, it's possible Lee could jump ahead of them, especially off the back of their recent Challenge Cup success and top 4 finish in the end, I believe.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, then we start getting to 13th, 14th, which were quite close together. Bradford in 14th, I would imagine if they finish higher than them in the Championship and have similar attendance figures, they probably stay in front of.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
And the big one being their noisy neighbours in Castleford, who are already apparently claiming there's been a data logging error that's put them outside of the top 12, and I already don't know how I feel about that. Maybe having an extra finger doesn't help when it comes to these matters.
Yeah, I mean, like we say, we are recording this a few weeks early, so this could all have changed, and you know, it could have been resolved, and these standings could have changed, but we imagine they won't do, and we're reacting to what the knowledge we've got.
And I guess we are the third week of the comeback, so to speak. We are doing a full big pod on the IMG restructure and what that means for Super League, how we would structure the league, etc. So join us for that one. I guess to bring this all back to Wakefield then, and the point we're trying to make is it's going to bring that community club spirit back, to bring the loyal fans in, to really build something at this club that hopefully, assuming they do keep a position in the top 12 and they go up, they can really take that form and momentum into Super League. And let's face it, actually give the league a go rather than scrapping to finish 11th every season. Because it can't be fun. I mean, when was the last time they made the playoffs? 2012?
Yeah, it's got to be I'm talking like pre-Bulls.
I seem to remember
£1 million game sort of.
I remember a kit with a thick red and thinner blue stripe either side, which I think was the 2012 shirt. Because I think you had a weird Magic Weekend variant that was green and yellow. Wakefield fans, let me know if that's the right kit and if I'm chatting absolute rubbish here. But to avoid the typical Try-Time podcast kit rant, let's go on to squad rebuilding. And let's face it, the chance to get rid of Deadwood.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of players who contract will have been up anyway, but sometimes it can be easy to keep some of them players on because you're in Super League and you need Super League players, and if you think that's what they are. But obviously going down to Championship, it's a chance to get rid. Some of them players won't want to stick around. Some will, but you've just got to get rid, and you've just got to rebuild it. A lot of clubs have got to go through that, whether it's it can be a 2 or 3 year process, but Wakefield have got the opportunity to do it in the Championship. Some clubs, like your club Leeds, have been trying to do it for the past couple of years, and whilst in the Super League, it is hard to fully do. And don't get me wrong, you don't want to be down in Championship doing it, but
I'm not quite convinced that that's not down to the Leeds Rhinos recruitment team being frankly inept up until this season, which I think we've done a lot better in, but that's certainly one for another video.
Yeah, definitely. But I just think, you can rebuild your squad. You've got these academy players. You've got a good academy already. And, some of them players won't get in the opportunities that they maybe could have done because it's Super League, which is understandable. But now in the Championship, there's a bit more leeway for them to be able to play. Don't get me wrong, not rely on them all the time, but it's just, an odd game. If you're playing at home against, I don't know, Swinton, and you think, I could chuck in a couple of youngsters in there just to bleed them in and see what they're about.
Does this reduce the salary cap? Because let's face it, academy players are going to be cheaper than a Super League veteran or an overseas import who, God knows what you've told them about Wakefield to convince them to move all the way from Melbourne or something to go there. I mean, if you joined us for the last video, you'll know exactly what I mean when I say Wakefield doesn't quite have the pull of London, does it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. And, Wakefield fans will feel they've been in Super League for this long and, it's sad to go down, and yeah, I can see that, but you got to think, you go into all these away grounds that you've probably, some never might have been to, some like Odsal you won't have been to for a while. I know not many people want to actually go to Odsal, but that's another thing. But you're going to win games, you're going to win a lot of games, whether you finish top or you finish fourth or wherever, you're going to win games, you're going to connect with the club because the players are going to, you're going to be at these little grounds, you're going to be at your back list away, and players are going to come over to the side and they're going to speak to you, and you're going to get pictures, and you're going to be more of a community club, which I think is important. Is beating
Workington more satisfying than losing to Warrington, I guess, is the question here.
And it probably is, because you'll be doing it with some of your young players, some players that you've brought in who are fighting for the club. You've had years of being terrible at the bottom of Super League. Just enjoy this thing, because it's not going to last. You're doing all right on IMG ratings. You're going to be back up next year. Just enjoy a
As
good
the Wakefield
season.
fan says, years have been terrible to the boy who's not tasted Super League since, 2014.
But you've got to look at OKR. They went down, they did a season down there. A lot of their fans ask them, they enjoyed that season. And then they've gone back up now, and look where, Challenge Cup finals and stuff like that, and getting consistent playoff finishes.
To be fair, that is a good example. They've gone from losing by 50 in a Challenge Cup final to losing by 1. So that is significant progress for KR.
Yeah, and they're bringing through their players. They're doing that sort of side of it, a good young team. So.
And Wakefield have already done that to an extent. You look at what Tom Johnson's gone on to achieve as a prime example of getting the right players in that squad and giving them the chance to shine. And yeah, the Championship will give them the platform to do that. Will they go up? That's the biggest question. I guess through the IMG rankings firstly, and actually, would they earn it on the pitch anyway if we were to, say, keep promotion and relegation?
I'm not going to say much about where they'll finish because that'll be for a podcast, no doubt, on Championship predictions. But I do think they've got a good chance, a very good chance of going up, whether it is IMG or general promotion. So I think Wakey fans, it's not all doom and gloom. Enjoy your season, and yeah.
Let's wrap this up while Callum can still speak.
Yeah.
See you next time.
See ya.
Bye.